It is going to be the Bant Hexproof versus Naya. Kea on your left and Sean on your right. We've had both these guys on camera multiple times this weekend. So Naya Humans on the right, Bant Hexproof on the left. Also, I know you have the deck list in front of you. Any favorites? Any way to beat the Bant Hexproof deck here from the Humans deck?
Well, I think that Sean, I think he has a chance to beat the Hexproof deck just because, you know, he's an aggressive deck. If he can get a champion early, then he can put a lot of pressure on Kia. But the fact that Sean's on the draw is going to make things tough. Because, again, it's all going to come down to a tempo in the race. And being on the draw just make things very difficult. And the fact that Kia starts out with a Pilgrim is pretty much the worst thing that could happen for Sean.
Well, Sean's going to have a Pilgrim of his own, so he's going to try to keep up here. As both players did keep their opening hands. You see Human for Kia on Cavern of Souls. We're going to see if he has Geist to St. Trapped, as he did have yesterday on turn 2 at a crucial point. You're going to see here a Fencing Ace.
That's you know, not as great as a turn 2 Geist St. Trap, but it can be just as threatening. And it looks like he has at least a Curiosity. Okay. So if he's able to draw a Rancor or a Spectral Flight, he could still end the game very quickly.
We'll see a Plains here from Sean. I think Thalia is a card that plays a really interesting role in this matchup. The Bant Hexproof deck, it's not really light on mana. You know, it does have the Pilgrims, and I think it plays 23 lands, so mana's not a huge issue, but making those enchantments cost 1 more extra mana, Spectral Flight costing 3, Rancor costing 2, can slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, and it also stops the turn 3 Savagery, which would definitely kill Sean very quickly. Yeah. Because Sean doesn't really have a good insert, although he does have Celestia Charm. The worst thing would be you know, a Spectral Flight and then a Rancor. So at least, you know, Thalia would stop that combination of cards.
And now we are going to see a Rancor he's going to pay a little extra for, and now we're going to see a Curiosity.
So yeah, we have exactly what we thought we'd see. Thalia didn't really do a good job of stopping any of that. Looks like Kia's going to be able to get in for 6 and draw 2 cards.
Going to work right away, showing why Fencing Ace, a card that's only a 2 of.
Actually, it's interesting here. I think Sean can actually block with the Thalia here.
Yeah.
And just trade.
He can trade here. The first strike will happen, and some trample will happen. So he'll get a card, and Rancor will come back.
Yeah, I don't love that attack there, simply because he basically just traded 1 for 1. He drew 1 card off it, but I think I would have preferred to just waited to hope to draw a Spectral Flight or something to really threaten some lethal, because I don't think he even has another threat in his hand, short of an Absent Pilgrim, which won't get the job done. So Sean makes out pretty well in that attack.
Yeah, that exchange is actually quite good for him there, as we do see a Cavern of Souls here drawn for Sean. A couple of Rancors in his hand, also Silverblade Paladin. Makes out a lot better than I thought he was going to, actually.
Yeah. If we have a Huntmaster here, then things are looking pretty good for Sean. He regains the small amount of life he lost last turn. Now he has a pretty good threat in play. He can threaten to kill the Pilgrim next turn if Kia doesn't have a play.
So this is going to force action from Kia. He does draw a Silverblade Paladin for the turn. There's also an Absence Pilgrim there. And we do know about the Rancor. So those are the last 3 cards that Kia does have in his hand. And those are not, I mean, that's just not very good.
Yeah, it's not going to be good, because if Sean wants to deal with Paladin, he can just pass the turn back and let the Huntmaster flip. So he really needed a Geist there.
Yeah.
Or at the very least an Invisible Stalker. And again, I really think attacking with the Fencing Ace there is going to be, you know, he's going to end up regretting that, because, you know, obviously he would still need a Spectral Flight or an Ethereal Armor to protect it, but right now it looks like Sean might be able to use his Huntmaster to sort of take control of the game.
Now you do see Silverblade Paladin come in. It's going to pair up with the Absence Pilgrim. Then the Rancor is going to enchant it. So it is going to be an attack with a 3/1 double striking Trampler. But again, there's no Curiosity here. You know, no increase in savagery. The guy's not all that large, and Sean can easily deal with the problem at hand just by drawing, passing, taking care of the Silverblade Paladin. Then he's still in good shape.
Yeah, and we know that Sean has a Rancor in his hand, the Silverblade Paladin. I expect him to just pass here, kill the Silverblade Paladin, then play 2 spells on his turn to reflip the Huntmaster, and then gain another 2 life and another Wolf.
He also has the ability to threaten Restoration Angel here, a card that Sean has 4 copies of in his deck list.
Yeah, so all in all, because Kia just doesn't have that Geist or an Invisible Stalker, he's in pretty good shape.
Your deck is named Hexproof. You need to draw the Hexproof
If you
stuff.
don't, yeah. You can't just draw pants without the hexproof guys.
And Sean is just going to pass. You're going to see Huntmaster trigger here,
And
flip into Ravager of the Fells.
And it is a risk because he could have Selesnya Charm, but I think Sean wisely doesn't put him on it, and I think it's still the right play regardless.
You see another Silverblade Paladin drawn here for Kea to go along with that Absence Pilgrim in his hand. If he does play both creatures, Ravager of the Fells, will flip back into Huntmaster of the Fells. So we'll see if he does elect to play both. As here's your Silverblade Paladin pre-combat and a pair.
Yeah, I don't think Key can afford to play both. He doesn't want to flip the Huntmaster and then allow Sean to just pass the turn back and have the exact same thing happen.
Yeah.
You know, shipping away 6 at a time while your opponent's gaining 2, and also is gaining another trump blocker if he needs it, isn't really going to get the job done for him. So I think his only play is basically play the Silverblade and attack with the Pilgrim like he did last turn.
Just try to keep the pressure on.
Yeah. Sean will likely take this, drop to 8. And then on his turn, he could just cast 2 creatures to reflip the Huntmaster.
He may also just be okay with trading Huntmaster here. The thing that he doesn't know is that Kea has another Pilgrim, and then the Ranker's going to come back, so he's actually just going to be in the exact same position.
I don't love this play just because the Huntmaster's so good. You know, you're not in any threat of dying right now. Huntmaster's just so good right now for you. I would prefer to keep it in play 2 creatures on your turn, gain some life, maybe you'd have a Thalia out there, you can put a Rancor on it to give it first strike, make it 4 plus 4 first strike. So yeah, I don't really love that play, because now he still has to deal with the Silverblade Paladin.
Sure. We're going to see a Rancor here on the Wolf token. We do know that Sean has some number of Silverblades in his hand, so you'll see a Silverblade Paladin here, you'll see a pair, and we're going to see an attack, so getting a little bit aggressive here, coming in for 8 damage total. It is a 4/2 Wolf token with Trample and Double Strike, so kind of racing back here, which is dangerous against this deck. It is dangerous. And the funny thing here actually is with how mediocre K's draws, if he draws a Spectral Flight here, the game actually ends.
Yeah.
As he does have Absence Pilgrim in his hand to pair up with the Silverblade Paladin, so you're going to see that right now, and you're going to see Silverblade come across here. This is also a 4/2 Trampling Double Striker.
And again, I don't see why you wouldn't want to block with the Silverblade. You really have to get that Silverblade Paladin off the board.
Yeah, it's the only immediate threat right now. There is the fear, of course, of Selesnya Charm, but are you really going to be able to beat that anyway? I mean,
Yeah,
Selesnya Charm is
if he
lethal
has
right
Selesnya
now.
Charm, you're dead. So I would just block here, get it off the board. Decides to take it.
A little risque.
I think maybe he thinks he can kill. He thinks he might be able to kill Key on the swing back here because he has a Silverblade, and I think he might have another Rancor in his hand.
It looks like he does have another Rancor at the
So,
ready.
Yeah, it looks like he might be able to kill Key on the swing back.
He's going to Rancor the Absence Pilgrim. I think we're going to see another Silverblade Paladin. Going to pair.
Yeah, so because of that second Rancor that Sean had, I'm not sure if he drew it or if he had it.
All right. Taps his mana. Picks up his cards. Sean Thrasher up a game here. Kea going to be moving on to sideboard. So a pretty kind of back and forth game. The thing that was scary there for Sean is Kea had 4 Selesnya Charms he could draw. He also had 4 Spectral Flights that would actually just end the game on the spot if he had drawn one.
Yep.
Which is, kind of strange given that I feel like Kea's draw that game was not particularly impressive. Wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. Didn't even have a hexproof guy, but just Silverblade Paladin in combination with Rancor and those effects could have actually just gotten the job done by itself.
Yeah, it looked pretty good with the fencing ace. Thalia obviously played a huge role there. I wonder how the game would have played out had he not attacked with the fencing ace there.
Sure.
Maybe he doesn't have to go all in on the enchantments.
Sure.
Because all you're doing is basically drawing a card.
Yeah.
I'm fine with maybe playing a Rancor and just attacking there, trampling over for a little bit of damage. But if you have that curiosity with your Silver Blade Paladin in your hand, maybe the game turns out a little differently later on. Maybe he does draw that Selesnya charm.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure I loved going all in on a fencing ace that early just to draw a card, basically,
Just
and
have
get a value off the board.
Have the curiosity replace itself.
Yeah, so not sure I love that play. I think, Sean did everything he needed to do to win the match. I mean, a lot of times we see people try to play too defensive. He was very aggressive in that match. You got to press your advantage when you can. So I liked how he played the game, especially towards the end there. It looks like we have a result of the other match.
The other match went by really, really fast.
Really fast.
Good God. I did not expect that to happen. I figured you were piping in a game one score. But Will Craddock with Black Red Zombies has already defeated Alan Baguette in his banned Hexproof deck 2-0 just in no time. Feels like it was maybe a 10 or 15 minute match. So we'll have a Black Red Zombies deck in the finals here, and Naya Human is up a deck. Now, very quickly, it is trivia time for you guys.
Trivia time.
In the semifinals, we'll be giving away 6 months of premium. It's very easy to play. Basically, what we do is Osip's going to ask you guys a question. We'll do a softball. Maybe he'll make it tough. Don't really know. And when you have the answer, you can tweet it. You can tweet the answer to us, and all you have to do is tweet the answer with the hashtag of SCG Premium. We'll choose from one of the winners, one of the people who got the answer correct, and we will give away 6 months of premium. Without any further ado.
Okay, so the trivia question for 6 months of free premium is, in Sean Thrasher's Naya Humans deck, he has one creature in his main deck that is not a human. What is that creature type?
Pretty softball, I think.
Yeah, the creature type?
The creature type.
Okay.
Just what is the creature type that is non-human?
I want to make sure we got
in his
it.
main deck.
Okay. That's pretty softball.
I think it's a softball.
Yeah. I think 6 months premium is going to be pretty easy to win here. All you have to do again is tweet the answer with the hashtag of SCG Premium. We'll choose from one of the winners and we'll give it away after this match. But we're going to go back to the match and see how these players are going to sideboard really quickly. Taking a look at I'll take a look at the Hexproof deck list really quickly here from Kia, seeing what he can do to fix the human problem here. 2 copies of Azorius Charm, which are interesting. I think those are going to be better when you're on the draw, because put the creature back on top. I don't really want to be using it as a proactive ability. I want to use it as a reactive ability when we're racing. 4 copies of Strangleroot, aggressive card, but the human deck does have a lot of first strikes, so not sure how good that card's going to be. And then 2 copies of Wolfir Avenger, which isn't going to take Sean by surprise because they do have access to each other's deck list. Other than that, you're going to find 2 more copies of Selesnya Charm. You're also going to find 2 copies of Garruk Relentless. I would not be surprised if Relentless did join us, and along with Selesnya Charm as well. So I think we might see in between 4 to 6 cards come in here. But again, something that we did harp on yesterday, it is difficult to cut cards from the main deck of the banned Hexproof deck, again, because you don't want to dilute your deck, and then your deck isn't able to do the same thing every game.
Yeah, I actually don't like the curiosities in this matchup. I actually think Azorius Charm's not bad because he can use it proactively to give his creatures life lead.
Okay.
Which could be huge when the life swing. So in that example, that could have actually won him the game, just gaining the 6 life there,
Putting him out of range of Sean's attack.
So I kind of like the Azorius Charm. Garruk is probably better on the play than it is in the draw, so we might be able to see it. We might see it in this game for Kia. I'm not sure if I'd want it on the draw. And Selesnya Charm,
not sure it's needed. I don't think he's afraid of Wolfir Silverheart. He knows Sean's list, so I don't think the pump spell is going to be as good as necessarily like an Azorius Charm, especially because Silverblade Paladin's tough for Naya Humans decks to get off the board. So if you have both your guys having double strike, just gaining like 8 life in the turn could be huge.
As for Sean's?
Sean, again, I don't think Sean has much that he can bring in here. I mean, he has 4 Selesnya Charms that I don't think are great in this matchup. They can't really do anything against Kia's creatures. He could pump his creatures, but I don't think pump is something he really wants in this matchup. He's got 2 Bonfires, which I think he probably brings in. He's got some Thragtusk. But I don't know if you want Thragtusk,
especially on the draw. I think it might be a little too late to the party.
Nevermore was a card that we actually considered playing in
Barcelona when we were helping Josh Cho test his matchup for the top 8.
We thought he might have to play against the Hexproof deck, so we thought maybe bring in some Nevermores. If you can go turn 1 Pilgrim, turn 2 Nevermore on Geist, maybe you can, that's one of their major threats. So if you can make sure they can't cast that, maybe that's worth bringing in. On the draw, however, not sure you're going to get there. So probably won't expect to see that out of Sean's deck in this game. But Dryad Militant, you know, just being aggressive, I think, might be fine. So I could see maybe boarding out 3 Celestia Charms for 2 Bonfires and a Dryad Militant.
Okay. So definitely some options there. I mean, the cards, a lot of different angles of attack. You can make an argument for boarding an Oblivion Ring, maybe to take care of an enchantment. You know, its deck is a little bit weak to Spectral Flight. You might need a card like Oblivion Ring just to be able to take care of Spectral Flight once it does hit play. You know, it's not great to use your turn to take care of something like that, but if that's what it takes to win, that's what it takes. Either way, we do see both players shuffling here. Kia is going to be on the play. We've already dispatched one Bat Hexproof deck. Sean Thrasher looking to do the same here to Kia, so we can have Anaya Humans versus Black Red Zombies. The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead finals.
AMC's
Zombies versus Humans.
Is that somehow AMC's third best show?
It's the third best show in
behind,
AMC. Yeah.
Behind Breaking Bad and Mad Men?
Yep. Not even close.
Wow.
Distant third.
Good show, too.
You know, the interesting thing about Sean's deck is he's very greedy. He's got 2 Gavany Townships and a Keswick Wolfrun in a 3-color deck. I'd be surprised if he has some color issues. We didn't really see it in game 1, but you know, if he draws one of those lands, off-color lands, he might have difficulty sort of casting all the spells he needs to. But I guess we'll see. It's been working out for him so far.
Yeah, we've seen that issue across a couple other decks this week, and we saw Andrew Funkhauser with his Esper control deck unable to cast a Supreme Verdict on time. And one of the lands that he did have in play was an Athalia Drown Yard. You know, playing those colorless lands that actually do have a huge effect on the game. You know, later down the road, once you get into the mid game and the late game, you know, they do have a cost associated to them. And while they are very powerful cards, you know, they do tap for colorless mana in these color-centric decks.
Yeah, and I think it really plays into the post-board games a lot more, because a lot of times Sean will bring in Bonfire, he wants to cast it, but you know, Cavernous Souls is a lot of times the way he casts his Huntmaster for red, so he doesn't have that many red sources. Yep. So if he top decks a Bonfire, he could easily just not be able to cast it because he doesn't have a red source.
And we do see Sean taking a mulligan down. He's going to be going to 6. Kia has kept his 7, so he's happy thus far. And Nine Humans is a deck that it mulligans all right. It's not great at mulliganing, but you know, obviously being on the draw when taking a mulligan here, it is a bit nicer. Yeah. Soften the blow a little bit.
And again, I think Sean's deck, because it's aggressive, he can afford. His deck doesn't mulligan great, but it doesn't mulligan the worst either. I think there's a certain combination of cards that if he gets, it's going to be good for him regardless of whether or not it's 6 or 7 cards in his hand. So, you know, if he goes Pilgrim, Silverblade, Huntmaster, I think it's, you know, he's still going to be in good shape. But it all depends on how aggressive Kia's start is. So we saw a turn 1 Pilgrim last game, but we didn't see the hexproof creature to go along with it on turn 2. So without that, Sean has a chance to sort of stabilize.
So we are going to see here, Sean will be able to keep 6 cards, or is he going to have to go down to 5, which would not bode well for his chances if he has to do that. We'll almost certainly see a 3rd game if that's the case.
I hope his opening hand had 2 Gavany Townships and Keswick Wolfrun in it. That's why he had the mulligan.
The ultimate punishment.
Yeah, the ultimate punishment. What a prognosticator I am.
Well, it must be nice living in the future.
Yeah.
You, Glenn, and Pat Chapin from the future.
We're going to be able to keep this hand. Okay, looks like we're good to go.
No Absence Pilgrim from Kia, so just a Hallowed Fountain. He does pass the turn back. You do see an Ethereal Armor and a Sun Petal Grove in his hand thus far.
Are we going to see Pilgrim? Oh, great. So Sean got the start that he wanted, turn 1 Pilgrim. Might have been better as a champion, but still, any turn 1 play against a hexproof deck is great, because you basically regain a little bit tempo. So interesting. I think we saw 2 Wolfare Avengers in Kia's hand. So surprised he brought that card in.
Yeah, as am I. I think of that card much more useful against your Supreme Verdict S decks. After they cast a Wrath, flashing it into play and keeping the aggression.
I'm not a huge fan of having just a 3/3 flash guy in my deck against humans, but you know, it's a good blocker. It can definitely catch him off guard.
So we have our fencing ace yet again here. on turn 2 from Kia, and he will be able to load up on it as we do at least see an ethereal armor here.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like that's the one creature where you hope you have your Selesnya
Charm, because if they pants it up, you could at least kill it.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the only creature that you can do that against.
We're going to see a Gavney Township.
Uh-oh.
Here it is.
There's I hope he has access to double white later in the game. But it doesn't look like it's going to hurt him that much. He plays a Mayor.
We have our first Mayor of Everbrook of the match. And we're going to see Avacyn's Pilgrim come across, offering up a trade with Fencing Ace, but going to decline. And Kia taking a look at Mayor of Everbrook. We'll bring it up for you guys at home as well, so you can take a look at all that it does, along with the Howlpack Alpha on the other side of it. +1/+1 to all humans at this point, in this form.
Mayor's actually a great card when Blue-White Flash was really popular, because the whole point of Blue-White Flash is you don't want to cast spells on your turn, which doesn't work well with werewolves in general. So it looks like we have at least one ethereal armor. It seems like Kia boards out his Abundant Growth a lot.
I think that's the card. We've been trying to figure it out.
We've been trying to figure out what he's been boarding out. It looks like he's boarding out his Abundant Growth a lot.
You know, we've always been trying to play the guessing game, but then we always find Fencing Ace is still in his deck. We always find the Curiosity is still there. And I think that it is just Abundant Growth, the card that he's been going to board out.
If I had to guess, I'd say, it's probably just Abundant Growth.
You're going to see an Avacyn's Pilgrim post-combat and passing the turn back. Ethereal Armor, just a measly +1/+1, as there's only one enchantment in play, which is itself.
Oh, well, it looks like Sean did draw a Selesnya Charm.
Okay.
So, but I think he has a Thragtusk in his hand, too, so interesting to see what he boarded out.
The big question here is, does he have a third land?
Oh, you know what? Probably boarded out the Conscripts.
We're going to get 2 Conscripts.
Okay,
Those are definitely not in there anymore.
He could live in the dream world of taking a Fencing Ace. I think that's about it, though.
Would be quite good against the Fencing Ace, but... so, does he have a Temple Garden there?
This looks like he has a land. He's just considering maybe which one he wants to play. Having a land here is certainly going to be crucial. Alright,
so he does have access to double white, which is good.
Temple Garden going to knock Sean down to 14.
You know, if now that he drew the Selesnya Charm, I wouldn't hate just passing the turn back.
Okay.
And flipping the Mayor, because you're taking 6, but there's a chance that you can bait Kia into putting another pant, if he top decks one, onto the Fencing Ace.
And so you're going to see Mayor of Everbrook get blocked by Avacyn's Pilgrim. You're going to see a proactive use of the charm.
The ways that they're not sure why he attacked with the Mayor.
I mean, thinking he wants to get Avacyn's Pilgrim out of the way, I just don't think Avacyn's Pilgrim has much of an effect on the game anymore.
What I really wanted him to do was attack with the Avacyn Pilgrim. Obviously, Kia doesn't block, and then he just passes. Mayor flips, becomes a 3/3. If Fencing Ace just attacks with Ethereal Armor,
he can block it. That's fine.
Just trade straight up with the Fencing Ace. If he does have a pant there, then you can Celestia charm the Fencing Ace. So Sean would be in great position there. Now he basically still just lost a Selesnya Charm, and if Kia top decks a Spectral Flight, he's no longer even able to block it, and he doesn't have an answer. So don't love the play of just proactively using a Selesnya Charm to get through a couple points of trample damage, but the fact that Kia didn't have a play that turn means, and Sean just drew a Rancor, is actually pretty good for him now. So he's going to be able to play the Thragtusk, attack for 3, gain 5 life, and then block the Fencing Ace and get another attacker in the Beast token.
We see Howlpack Alpha. And now we're going to see a Wolfear Avenger. So those guys are going to fight each other. It looks like Kia's going to make the attempt to block, make the trade. We'll see if Sean has anything, and he does not. If he does have that fifth land, it's going to be a little bit awkward. And he does have a fifth land. So if he plays that before he attacks,
he could have
threatened. Yeah, he could have threatened the township, and he doesn't block. But you're just going to see a Thragtusk here. So a slight hiccup there, as I think he would have been able to keep the Howlpack Alpha.
Honestly, I'm not even sure I want to attack there. I mean, I'm fine with passing if I have the 5th land and just activating my township, because you're going to get a wolf anyway.
Yeah. Letting Mayor push his advantage.
So you get 2 4/4s in play. Yeah, so I think Sean's being a little too aggressive. You know, his aggression paid off for him last round, but I think he's giving away a lot here when he doesn't need to. But you know, thankfully, Key is now on defense, which might not work for him because of the township.
Yeah, this is just a deck that does not play defense very well at all.
No.
And that's the reason that Will Craddock probably destroyed the deck as fast as he did with Black Red Zombies, because it's just a deck that if you're super aggressive against it, you know, it's not very strong. As we see a Rancor here on a Thragtusk coming across with a 7/3 Trampler now.
Mm-hmm. And Key is very adamant that the enchantment does not tap.
Yeah, that's the second time.
That's the second time
we've seen that. Don't even think about it, buddy.
Yeah, quite the rule stickler.
So 7/3 Thragtusk coming across. You see that he is representing. Currently, he can activate Gavany Township or Keswick Wolf Run.
And you know, we are seeing an activation here.
We're seeing an activation of one of these cards, and it's going to be Gavany Township.
Yeah.
So those guys are going to get a little bit bigger.
I mean, not a huge fan of that play, just because if Kia has an increasing savagery, you're dead. So it's, again, Sean's being very aggressive here, putting Kia on nothing. But thankfully, Kia isn't drawing much. So
Yeah.
I think he might have another Ethereal Armor. So he might actually. Oh, you see, I don't think he has enough white to cast the Ethereal Armor and the Silver Blade.
Yeah, that looks to be the issue. And you see he's
Because
considering what he wants to do.
Yeah, if he did, that's pretty much game.
It would be over.
And he would have really punished Sean for being that aggressive.
The other thing that's kind of interesting too is that he has this Wolfear Avenger that he played on the end of turn, and you know, it's kind of an obscure outside the box play, but he could have just went, you know, main phase Wolfear Avenger, put an Ethereal Armor on one of my guys. Actually, he drew the Ethereal Armor this turn.
Yeah.
So never mind. That play.
I would like to point out, though, if that Wolfear Avenger had been an Abundant Growth, he probably wins this turn.
That's true. That's true.
So, again, very greedy boarding out those Abundant Growths if that was, in fact, what he boarded out. Because, you know, Banned Hexproof has mana issues at times, you know.
Which
you're
we are
playing
seeing.
a three-color deck, and you're seeing it right here. He's not able to kill him because he doesn't have enough white. So, interesting to see if he did board out those Abundant Growths for the Wolfear Avengers.
You see Ethereal Armor here. Okay, gonna be placed on the Wolfear Avenger.
And you know, that's fine because now his Wolfear Avenger is a 5/5 first striker. I think you still attack. I think you still want to attack with the Fencing Ace, so you can actually threaten lethal next turn. He can block the Thragtusk even if he activates the Township because it'll have 5 toughness, and the first strike of the Avenger will kill it before the trample.
Okay.
But you know, Kia decides not to attack here, which is strange.
You see another Rancor drawn here. There's another 2 cards in Sean's hand. There's a Rancor and a Mystery card right now. And I agree with you. I think you could have snuck in an attack with a Fencing Ace there, get in for 6, as the armors are both riding for +2/+2 right now, and have Wolfear Avenger hold down the fort.
Yeah, I think Kia's just playing around too much. It's like you're not a defensive deck. You know what your deck is designed to do. If you can afford to attack, always attack.
Yeah.
And you could have afforded to attack there.
You did have the opportunity to sneak in those points of damage right now, and every point does count, especially when you're playing this deck, as you don't get a lot of opportunities to sneak in points of damage.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was afraid of the Wolf Run, but I don't think the Wolf Run he didn't have enough mana to kill him with the Pilgrim anyway. No. So I think the Avenger could have safely blocked the Thragtusk. First strike would have killed it, and you know, and then he'll have a chance to top deck a Selesny, a special flight.
We do see an Avacyn's Pilgrim here for Sean. Last card in his hand is a Rancor, again representing Gavany Township and Keswick Wolf Run. And it looks like he's going to pass the turn back and represent that township. Invisible Stalker, the draw step for Kia.
So, not a terrible, you know, not exactly what he was looking for. But I think his only play here is to just play the Silverblade Paladin, soul bond it with something, and he's pretty much locked into blocking now. He can't really afford to attack, so Sean will activate his Township, make his guys a little bit bigger, give him another out to draw Bonfire if he boards it in. You know, if that Thragtusk was Bonfire, you know,
different game.
Could be a different game, but interested to see how it plays out.
You see Kia thinking through his turn. 2 Silverblade Paladins in his hand right now. What's he want to pair up with? How do I want to go about playing the rest of this game? Am I going to be able to beat Gavany Township? Right now, I think, you know, the line of play I would make if I was in his situation is just playing Silverblade Paladin, partnering up with Wolfear Avenger, you know, being able to stabilize that way, hold the fort with all of my first strikers, and then just hoping to peel a Selesnya charm, or excuse me, a Spectral Flight.
Yeah, I mean, if he peels a Spectral Flight, it's actually not that bad for him. If Sean makes a mistake and attacks too aggressively to try to force through like 2 or 3 points of damage, he can win with the top deck Rancor.
Oh.
If Sean just plays the same game where he's just going to activate Township for another turn, try to get his guys big enough to attack, then he's going to need a Spectral Flight. But either way, he's got to cast a Silverblade Paladin here in order to give himself that out.
Yeah. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He does play that. You see the pairing here. Obviously, no reason to pair with Fencing Ace. It already does have double strike. So you're going to see him pair up with Wolfear Avenger. It is going to now be a 5/5 double striking regenerating creature. And you're going to see a Township activation here.
Yeah, and if Sean draws a land here, he's going to be able to play a Rancor on one of his Pilgrims, likely the one with only 1 counter on it, and he does draw a land. So we could get an attack here from Sean if he wants to be, if he's a little impatient, plays a Rancor on the Pilgrim, activates his Township, attacks with all his creatures. He'll lose two of his creatures. He'll gain a blocker, but he will be able to drop Kia down, or at least trade with a Silverblade Paladin. I don't think Sean wants to attack here. I think he's fine with just activating a Township for 1 more turn and then killing him with the Rancor, or trying to kill him with the Rancor next turn.
And that's exactly what you see. Does just pass the turn back. Kia takes a draw step. Kia draws Increasing Savagery.
Yeah. He can't cast enough of the spells, and he really needs, if he had a 5th land here, he'd be able to go Silverblade, Invisible Stalker, and then threaten to kill Kia next turn. As it stands, not sure he's going to be able to do that. But he can cast a second Silverblade, pairing up with the Fencing Ace or the Wolfear Avenger, whatever the creature is not soulbounded with. So then he'll have enough for strikers to not have to worry about any trample damage.
Okay. This is always a difficult part of the game, analyzing a complicated board state. And this is one I'm sure they've certainly not been in before, but you are going to see Increasing Savagery on the Silverblade Paladin, just to make that one bigger. So now that he has 3 huge first strikers.
Yeah, so I like this play just because, again, Sean's plan, it just trumps Sean's plan for now, and gives Kia a couple extra turns.
You see another Gavany Township activation on the end of Kia's turn. Sean going to take a draw step. We know he has a Rancor in his hand. Let's see what the draw is going to be. And he is reaching for that forest. Is it time to pull the trigger on that Rancor? You see 2 mana? Hold on. Okay. This feels like a Mare of Averbrook to me.
Oh,
and that's exactly what it is.
That's a great draw for Sean. Not as great as Bonfire, but definitely gives them more to work with, especially if Kia doesn't have a play next turn, which, you know, is a possibility, but we know he does. Pumps all his creatures.
Still threatening that Gavany Township activation. You see Ethereal Armor drawn for Kia. Really just in search of, you know, either just a way to get through here is what he's in search of. As you're going to see Invisible Stalker join.
Probably Ethereal Armor on that too, making it a 4/4 first striker. If he plays a Silverblade next turn, threatens 8.
Yep. Really, really doing a nice job of getting off the ground. Somehow, some way, kind of making this Gavany Township fairly irrelevant with all this first strike damage. His first strikers are all so large.
And, you know, we were talking about Gavany Township and Keswick Wolfram. Sean has both in play, but no color issues whatsoever. So, working out great for him there. And, you know, it's so crazy. Kia threatens to kill basically with any attack.
Yeah.
But the board state's just so gummed up. He finally draws a hexproof creature that's unblockable, but it might be too late.
Sean takes his draw. Still has the Rancor in his hand. I think he drew another Mare of Averbrook. And that's what that is. So now we have a second Mare. Still threatening Gavany Township activation. And just passes back to Kia.
I think
Kia needs to draw at this turn.
Azorius
wow.
Charm.
Oh, wow. There it is. It's exactly what we were talking about.
So let's see what Azorius Charm is able to do right now. As far as putting a creature back on top of the deck, how relevant do we think that effect is?
I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think he attacks with Invisible Stalker, drops Sean to 11, passes. Sean might try to kill. Sean's probably going to activate his Township, try to kill him. Then he casts Azorius Charm on to give all his guys lifelink. His creatures have first strike, so he'll gain the life.
Okay.
He's going to gain a lot of life too because he's got a 7/7 double striker as well as a 3/3 double striker. So he's going to be gaining 17 life. So there's no way Sean can do enough damage. So I like the play of attacking with Invisible Stalker, dropping Sean to 11 because you still have the Silver Blade in your hand. So next turn you can kill him with the Invisible Stalker Silver Blade.
Sure.
And he won't have even a Celestial Charm isn't an answer to that. So I like to play of just attacking with Invisible Stalker and then having the Azorius Charm using the lifelink, a portion of it when Sean clearly tries to attack.
Oh, but he's going to move in here with all of his creatures.
Yep.
And now this attack is interesting because we know that it's Azorius Charm. This is certainly representing the lifelink effect on this.
Yeah.
And this is just the full racing and putting the onus on Sean to block correctly and play around, you know, a Celestial Charm type effect or just multiple different things here. This is certainly risky. You know, how much is Kia planning this attack out?
I think it's fine too. The play I suggest is just a little trickier. It's like I don't want to telegraph as much.
Okay.
I think your chances of winning are just as good because you know you're basically ensuring that you're going to gain a lot of life. This play actually might make more sense if you're afraid of Bonfire of the Damned.
Sure, you just want to get the game over.
You just want to get you want to gain your life now and not give him a chance at Bonfire. So perfectly reasonable plan. Kia is definitely. I don't think Kia loses from this point. He's just going to be gaining too much life.
So the attacks that you have here, you have a 4/4 Fencing Ace, which of course has double strike. You have a 6/6 Wolfear Avenger that has double strike. You have a 7/7 Silverblade Paladin with double strike, and you have a 4/4 Invisible Stalker with first strike, which can't be blocked anyway.
Yeah. This is actually the ideal play because it makes sure that he plays around Bonfire of the Damned. So he's going to be gaining a lot of life. Unlikely Sean will be able to swing back for enough because he has to lose some of his creatures here because he has to block. It's the only way it's super risky is if Sean has a Celestial Charm here, which I think he is pretty confident he doesn't.
And this life swing with Azorius Charm, using what people call the secret mode of Azorius Charm, which is lifelink, will be. This is an attack here for 42 damage.
42 damage.
Carry the 6. That's we're gonna push it up to 48.
So you know, and we talked about this before in the sideboard. You know, that card can be huge for the and when you're trying to race him.
It's a card that you're not used to seeing in the sideboard of decks.
No, it's usually a 4 of in the main deck. If I was Kia, I would just show it. Just be like, listen, buddy, this game's not going anywhere. Let's just move on to game 3.
So you're going to see some blocks here, and we're going to see exactly how these guys are going to trade, what's exactly going to happen. Because, again, remember that the Mare of Averbrooks are giving humans +2/+2. There's a lot of Gavany Township counters on the guys. So, you know, there's a lot that's going to be happening here in combat as far as damage taking place. And we're going to see if a lot of guys on Sean's side are going to be dying. As you know, you see Kia doing the math here to figure out what's going to happen because the guys are of varying sizes right now. As they're sorting it, I'm actually trying to do it right here on paper to see exactly how big everything is. But this is the important part.
Maybe he puts a creature on top of his library.
I will draw a card.
I choose to draw a card right here.
We need a winner. So you're going to see a lot of things get exchanged here. Your Mare going to bite the dust. You've got your first strike damage. And after all of this damage is resolved, I think we're going to see a lot of things go away on Sean's side. Not a ton of things go away on Kia's side.
Yeah, I think Sean forgot how the first strike works. The Pilgrim doesn't actually trade with Silver Blade because all the first strike gets rid of the mayors.
Yep.
Before regular damage is able to stack up. You know, there wasn't much Sean could have done there. I think he probably has to block with his Drag Tusk. He has to, if he wants any shot of winning, he has to kill that Silverblade Paladin so that at least a top deck Bonfire can, you know, give him a chance to win. But now he doesn't even have that really.
So you do see Kia move up to 31 after all is said and done, and have a good board position, sitting at a comfortable life total. And this is something, you know, we talked about the opportunity cost that comes along with Gavany Township. But one place that you see Gavany Township end up being very good is when games get stalled out, you get yourself in a creature stall. It's ideal as you're making your creatures bigger and bigger every turn. And yet, as we just saw that combat, and we've seen at least 4, I mean, definitely 5, because we have a die there with 5 counters, 5 Gavany Township activations. And what did it really do?
yeah, I mean, the problem is Kia's creatures were too big and they had first strike. So, you know, Kia did a good job of gumming up the board and making sure that Sean couldn't do much on the swing back.
As you do see Mare of Averbrook flip into Howlpack Alpha, but again, we do know that he has a Silverblade Paladin in his hand at the ready, going to pair up with the Invisible Stalker. We'll see what we're going to have an attack with here. A lot of attacks are looking safe here for Kia, but he is just going to send in with the Invisible Stalker. Currently a 3/3 because of 2 Ethereal Armors being in play, plus Double Strike. Looks like it's going to be an attack for 6. Now you're going to see an Absence Pilgrim, and that's actually going to force the the Mare of Averbrook to come back. But we're going to see a Gavany Township activation first, I think.
No? He forgot.
Okay.
Bonfire? No, another Mare.
Not Bonfire. The 4th Mare.
So, yep, looks like this game's in the books.
Yep. And you do see Sean concede.
And
Kia rubs his hands together and say, "We're playing a 3rd one, boys."
Again, you see, it didn't matter how impressive Kia's creatures were, he didn't have a chance to win that game until he drew one of his hexproof creatures.
Yep.
Really comes down to Invisible Stalker, Geisting Trapped in this matchup. So, interesting to see if Sean can, you know, on the play now, if he's going to be able to be aggressive enough to sort of make sure that those first strike shenanigans don't occur. And again, a card like Thragtusk, it looked good for a while, but eventually it just gets outclassed. So I think he really should go back to the sideboard and maybe take that card out.
Yeah, somehow, someway, Thragtusk being outclassed by, you know, smaller creatures. You know, Thragtusk with a Rancor on it is pretty impressive, especially with a lot of Gavany Township activations. But again, Ethereal Armor, first strike, the way that this deck attacks you makes Thragtusk almost irrelevant, which is a hard thing to do in Standard.
Again, Sean definitely used Salesian Charm very aggressively early on.
Yep.
Which, you know, ended up costing him later in the game. But I think Sean really just wants to take out those conscripts, bring in 2 Bonfire of the Dams, and let's just leave it at that. I don't think you really want to tinker anymore. He has 4 Salesian Charms. Again, the way the side of Kia appears to be drawing a lot of fencing aces. So
sure.
could be pretty decent against him for now. So I think just he really wants Bonfire. Don't really think he needs the Thragtusk.
And I think, yeah, as that was a long drawn game, you kind of forget that on turn 4 of that game with the Selesnya charm, how we just attacked with the Mayor of Averbrook, Kia blocked in the Avacyn's program, we used +2/+2 and trample, which, seems like a good use of that card, proactive, you want to be aggressive, get your damage through, but again, he could have passed the turn, flipped the Mayor into Howlpack Alpha, had Selesnya charm defensively, to use the exile part, perhaps Kia makes a bad attack, he uses +2/+2 defensively. You have to get the most out of those charms, and we saw that Kia was actually able to get the most out of his Azorius charm.
Yeah. I actually think if Sean just doesn't attack there
With the Mayor,
he actually can win the game pretty easily.
Yeah.
Because his Mayor flips. Kia might not attack. We know Kia didn't have another pant for his Fencing Ace. If Kia does attack with Fencing Ace, you can block there with your 3/3. You can choose to pump that there if you'd like. Or just let it trade.
Yep.
Why not? You want to get the Fencing Ace and the Ethereal Armor off the board. You're 2-for-1ing him.
Yep.
If Kia doesn't attack, you suddenly get a Wolf now on your turn. The whole game swings in Sean's favor, I think, if he just doesn't attack with that Mayor.
Let's Mayor flip and then just kind of go from there.
Yeah, like why would you trade a Mayor with an Avacyn Pilgrim? You just wouldn't do that.
Kia's out of here. He's had enough. He's got
Kia
other things
just
to do.
has no interest in playing as humans anymore. It's a little surprising. I've never seen anyone just give up
Yeah.
in game 3 of a match before.
After winning such a complicated game too, you think he would want to play on.
I think he'd be confident in that. He pulled out a tense game too, but Kia just decided he really wanted to see Zero Dark 30, a matinee show, so decided to leave a little earlier.
And perhaps fear the beard.
Yeah.
Had to go.
Yeah.
Well, we do see both sideboards on the screen for you guys. We do know that Kia brought in Wolfir Avenger. We saw Azorius Charm. We'll probably see some number of Selesnya Charms, maybe, even though Garrick Relentless is. He does have a lot of cards he can board in. I think the card we'll be looking for to see if he does leave in is Abundant Charm, looking for those copies. Haven't seen him in his sideboarded games. I think this is the 3rd match we've covered him this weekend, and I think we may have figured out that card that's been moving out of his main deck so often.
Yep. Kia is doing his best impression of Manta Tail's girlfriend right now.
Gone.
It's an empty chair.
Gone. Gone, but
Gone.
but not forgotten.
Not forgotten.
Yeah. Here in spirit. Whose side are you on? Mateos? You think he's in on it?
I think he was in on it.
Yeah.
Or actually, I hope he wasn't in it, and I hope he's just the stupidest human being on earth. I like that story a lot more.
Yeah, it's really good. Break that on Sports Center.
Just blame concussions.
Yeah.
This is the only way out.
Yep.
Start blaming concussions.
Somehow put it on Roger Goodell. Not on me. If we had a playoff system in BCS, wouldn't be a problem. So I think the big thing that's important here for Sean is that he's on the play. He started with Avacyn Pilgrims both games thus far. He needs to get off to another good start. Champion of the Parish would be ideal. And just, again, he's been super aggressive in both games. Game 1, it worked out for him. Game 2, it really didn't. So he needs to just get off to that aggressive start attacking, make sure that Bant can't really get things set up, and just make the deck play defensively, which is something it doesn't do incredibly well. I know we saw it do it well that game in Game 2, but it's not something that does. It's not a deck that plays defensively very well at all.
Yeah, and I don't think Sean has anything to worry about. His deck put up a good fight. He was still in it in Game 2, even though he lost, and now he regains the play. So he's on the play. He's the aggressor. It's exactly where he wants to be. I don't think he has anything to worry about.
And now Kea returns, and Sean has decided, I don't want to play against you.
Yeah.
So he's going to leave.
There's a lot of tension right now in the feature match.
Yeah, I don't think these players like each other.
I don't think they like each other. There's no love lost between these two.
No, not at all.
I think Kia said something about Sean's novelty T-shirt, and it just forced him to storm off right now.
Struck a chord.
Struck a chord, really.
You guys have to understand, this is just a game, fellas.
This is just a game. It's just Magic. We're here to have fun. No need to be so adversarial.
If you guys are just joining us, we do thank you. We are here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Seeing the sights, enjoying the city. Nice weather this weekend.
Nice weather.
Which is pretty nice coming from Seattle. It's a little bit chilly out there. I know you're from Jersey.
Yeah, 30-degree weather in Jersey right now.
Got snow right now?
No snow.
Okay.
Frost. We get frost on the wind
Okay.
but no snow.
We have cloudy skies and your rain right now in Seattle. That's all we get. No snow, thankfully, as the city would shut down if it did. But we are here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. You guys can join us on Twitter. Join the conversation at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Dallas. Remember that we will be giving away those 6 months of premium after this match. OSIP softball question. Pretty easy one about what's the only non-human creature type in Sean's Night Human deck. I think you guys can figure that if you do take a look at the deck list very quickly, or don't, because it's almost pretty obvious, I think, about what that card could be.
Pretty obvious.
But we already do have our first result. Will Craddock did win his semifinal match against Bant Hexproof in lightning quick fashion with his Black Red Zombies deck, so he'll be playing in the finals of this tournament. Will Craddock again did start this tournament 8-0, was able to double draw in, so he has not lost a match with Black Red Zombies, a deck that we thought would show up here to try to race these Bant Hexproof decks, and Will has clearly done a very good job of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have at least one zombie player that just gets all the right draws.
Yep.
And just nothing can go wrong for them.
So let's see if that holds up for him into the finals.
I've always had that line of thinking of, can I be that guy for the weekend?
Yeah.
Am I the guy who's going to draw well with zombies? I never do.
Well, I bet he's hoping that Kia wins this match.
Yeah.
He's definitely rooting for Kia right now. He wants to play against another Bant Hexproof deck.
Yep.
And just try to beat him in lightning fast fashion as he did in the top 4.
I mean, that match was over in 15 minutes max. I can't believe how quickly it was over. Maybe there were mulligans that took place. Zombies is very unforgiving in its aggression. Hell Riders and Falkenrath Aristocrats may have shown up. So
yeah,
and maybe it's something as simple as Alan just didn't draw his hexproof creatures. He drew his Silverblade Paladins and his Pilgrims, and didn't draw Invisible Stalkers and Geists, and that'll lead to a pretty fast exit as well.
Yeah, because Alan was the higher seed, so
he actually did get to play first against Will. Which if Kia wins, Kia will also get to play first because he's a higher seed. But even the play first didn't really matter.
No. It didn't matter at all.
Zombies has a lot of 1-drops, so you can regain that tempo
pretty easily.
All right, both players have come to a truce, it looks like.
Yeah, looks like they've agreed to actually play the match out.
One more game, and then they'll never talk to each other again, is what it looks like. Oh, by the way, yesterday, when we were trying to decide who the guitarist was on that shirt, if you recall, it was BB King.
It was BB King.
It was BB King. Yeah.
Really?
He came over. He got a call from his girlfriend, and she said, "They don't know who's on your shirt." And he was like, "You guys don't know who BB King is?" I was like, "I knew it. I was right. We were sure it wasn't Johnny Cash."
I did not. That did not look like BB King. That looked like Kingpin.
I thought it was actually Kingpin from Daredevil comics.
Yeah. I was like, why does Kingpin have a guitar?
He's branching out, okay? They gotta sell comic books somehow.
Decided to stop being a villain.
Yep.
Move into smooth R&B.
Yep. It's a good paying job. I don't know if it pays as well as being the Kingpin.
The Kingpin, yeah.
Shuffling away.
The final still very much up in question. Are we going to see a Walking Dead final of humans versus zombies, or is Will Craddock going to get to sink his teeth into yet another hexproof deck?
I wonder how many he's beaten over the course of this weekend. I mean, obviously he's beaten one last round. I wonder just how many times he's played against that deck and stomped all over it.
Yeah.
It's what Black Red Zombies wants to be playing against, as far as we can tell.
And again, I mean, not as many people are playing Blue, White, Red Flash anymore.
Yeah.
So zombies is a much better choice.
If people aren't playing Blue, White, Red Flash, if people aren't playing, if they're not playing, these decks that are geared towards beating zombies, then zombies is a deck that just destroys tournaments. Again, it has won 2 Grand Prix in this format. And
I mean, we're seeing people with main deck Rakdos return in slaughter games.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly zombies is going to be great against those decks.
Sign me up. Both players taking a look at their opening 7 cards for Game 3 here. Again, Sean Thrasher will be on the play, really analyzing his hand right now.
Let's hope for a good one. No mulligans.
All right, he says
so we got
Key.
one keep up.
Kia goes
Kia
down.
goes down.
Looked like a hesitant keep.
Yeah, it didn't look like he was too confident.
Oh.
Maybe it's somewhat slow, but maybe he has a Silverblade Paladin. If we don't see a 1-drop, maybe it's a hand of like Thalia, Silverblade, and like lands.
Sure.
Not sure. He really wants a Silverblade, I think. But interesting to see whether or not he has a 1-drop.
You think maybe Sean's reeling him in? Takes a look at his hand, tanks for a while, just has the Stone Cold Nuts. I call that the Josh Rabbits.
Sean does not seem like the type that bluffs very well.
No? Okay.
I would not put him on a keen mental game of just playing mind tricks with his opponent.
All right.
I think what you see is what you get.
So we have 6 cards here. Hollowed Fountain among them. You see a Fencing Ace, another Hollowed Fountain, 3 Hollowed Fountains there.
There's that Fencing Ace every single time. We got to keep? Okay.
And away we go. Cavern of Souls.
Humans. And he does have a 1-drop. So I see a Silverblade and a 1-drop.
And we have Champion of the Parish. Okay.
All right, Champion. So first time we see him. Obviously very good in this matchup. As is Increasing Savagery and Fencing Ace.
So we have Hollowed Fountain over there from Kia. Let's see if Sean has a turn 2 play. You're going to see Cavern of Souls.
So
number
I think
2.
we have an idea of why he was hesitant to keep.
Yep.
Double Cavern can be tricky at times. So, but pretty good start. If he draws a 3rd land, I think he has access to Huntmaster now. Or can't see what that shiny card is. So we have Invisible Stalker. We know that Kia has Increasing Savagery. So Sean's going to have to put on some pressure here.
See a Silverblade Paladin, 2 copies of Huntmaster of the Fells. And you see him tapping mana
Borderland
here.
Ranger, perhaps? Or just Silverblade?
We're just going to see Silverblade.
So that's great.
Champion going to move up. You're going to see a pair.
Exactly what he was hoping for. He's putting the pressure on.
Who's more aggressive?
The heat is on.
All right. You see a Spectral Flight drawn. Hollow Fountain comes in.
How does he navigate this one? Does he try to win with Fencing Ace in 1 turn? I think.
So the thing is, that's going to be difficult. I guess Fencing Ace is going to do a nice job of holding down the fort here.
I think. He has to attack with Invisible Stalker. I know what his plan is. His plan is to go untap, Increasing Savagery, my Fencing Ace to have a blocker, and then next turn I'll put a Spectral Flight on my Fencing Ace and attack. And that would be 16. The problem is he needs to be pinging away with the Invisible Stalker to really get that damage in.
And you have a Borderland Ranger here.
Trigger.
Gotta remember it.
Trigger. There we go.
All right.
So remembers the triggers, searches for a land, gets that 3rd land he needed to cast the Huntmasters out of his hand. We also saw him draw a Restoration Angel, which is great because, as I said, it's possible that Kia's plan is to try to swing in with the Fencing Ace all in 1 turn with the Spectral Plate, which we know he just drew. Restoration Angel could put an end to those type of shenanigans.
As long as he has the foresight to not tap out on one of his turns, since he does have 2 Huntmaster of the Fells in his hand, and those can be very, very appealing, especially when you have a Champion of the Parish in play, to just want to keep casting those, keep putting pressure on your opponent to cast spells. But there will have to be what we believe 1 turn where he does just pass and leave Restoration Angel up.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be interesting to see what Kia draws next turn. Does he draw something that changes his plan, or is he still just going to play an Increasing Savagery on a Fencing Ace? Don't think you can afford to do it on an Invisible Stalker right here.
Yeah.
I think he wants a giant wall that can kill the Silverblade.
We're looking at a lethal attack right now. This is an attack for 4, 5, 6. So this is an attack for 12 because of double strike. And you see Invisible Stalker getting right in front of the Champion of the Parish. But he is going to take 4. He's going to move down to 8.
What do we have here?
And the tough thing here is, he's going to draw a card here. You see Glacial Fortress, and I think the issue that you're going to see here, Osip, is there is not a 2nd green mana. You see a Hollowed Fountain, you see a Glacial Fortress, you see a Fencing Ace, you see a Spectral Flight, Increasing Savagery. What you don't see is the 2nd green mana to actually cast that Savagery. And he has been behind this entire game, and this is not a deck that catches up very well, and he's not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, and the thing is, even if he did have it,
You see him show the hand.
Sean just is going to attack with all his creatures anyway.
Yeah.
So, nothing he could do. Sean had the start that he needed.
Yep.
He had a champion. He had a Silver Blade Paladin. He was the aggressor, and like you said, Kia's deck doesn't do blocking very well.
No defense at all. Pressures the opponent incredibly well, as you saw over the course of the weekend. But great start for Sean. Game 3 there. Finally started with a champion of the